I was 32, licensed surgical physician assistant at St. Matthew's Medical Center. Salaried, no debt, no dependents. The person charge nurses called when something went sideways at 2 a.m. Steady hands, clean record, 12-hour shifts that regularly turned into 16. The reliable one. On March 3rd, 2018, at 11:42 p.m., still wearing scrubs that smelled faintly like iodine and cafeteria coffee, I authorized a $2,380 transfer to my parents. Mortgage assistance. Recurring. I remember the exact minute, because the bank app stamped it in small gray text beneath the green confirmation bar. Approved. Money gone. Just like that. It wasn't dramatic, no music swelling, no big family speech. Just me sitting on the edge of my IKEA couch with one shoe still on, the apartment dark except for my phone's screen, my badge digging into my collarbone. My shift had run 14 hours, 2 emergency appendectomies, 1 trauma intubation. I hadn't eaten since noon. My hands were steady anyway. They always were. Dad had called during my drive home. Not a request, not exactly. More like logistics. We're a little short this month. Temporary thing. You're doing well now. You'll land on your feet faster than we will. He said it the way someone comments on the weather. Normal, inevitable. Then he added, almost joking, "You're the stable one." That word again. Stable. Like furniture. Something that stays put. I told him I'd handle it. Because of course I would. I always handled it. The app asked, said is recurring. I didn't even hesitate. Yes. First of every month. Indefinite. Confirm. The green checkmark flashed. For a second, I felt useful. Not proud, not generous. Useful. Like a spare battery, someone finally remembered to plug in. My fridge kicked on behind me. The compressor rattled. Somewhere upstairs, someone dropped something heavy. The apartment smelled like antiseptic wipes and the citrus cleaner I used on Sundays. My whole life fit inside that one bedroom. 2 plates drying on the rack. Scrubs over the chair, anatomy textbook still open on the counter from a certification exam I'd been studying for. Everything I owned, I'd bought myself. And now I was paying for a house I didn't live in. I didn't frame it that way yet. I framed it as family. You help family. That's just math. Quick pause if stories like this hit close to home. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell. You don't want to miss what happens next. The next morning, Vanessa posted photos. 26 of them. Napa Valley. White linen dress. Wine glass tilted toward the sun. Our parents on either side of her like she'd just won something. Caption, celebrating our girl's new brand launch. So proud. She deserves the world. I counted the photos because there were so many. Same smile, same angle, same glow. Mom commented 3 times. Dad used exclamation points. He never used exclamation points. I was in hospital break room B when I saw it, leaning against a vending machine that hummed too loud. My lunch was a protein bar and a banana. The fluorescent lights made everyone look tired. My scrubs still had a faint rust-colored stain near the cuff that wouldn't come out. I double-checked the timestamp. They'd flown out the same weekend. They'd told me money was tight. The part of my brain that notices inconsistencies, same part that catches subtle changes in a patient's vitals, lit up. Then it shut itself down. I explained it away. Different accounts, credit cards, probably a discount. I was good at explanations. You don't survive in medicine without learning how to rationalize discomfort. So I opened Excel. New file. Nothing dramatic. Just columns. Date, amount, description. 303, $2,380 mortgage. Saved it as Family Support XLSX. The name felt neutral, professional. Like bookkeeping. Not something emotional. Tracking felt smarter than arguing. Numbers don't lie, people do. If this was temporary, the sheet would stay short. 2, maybe 3 rows. Then done. Easy. The second transfer happened while I was assisting in surgery. My watch buzzed faintly under my glove. 11:42 a.m. Automatic. Money leaving while I held a retractor steady inside someone's abdomen. It felt strange, knowing something significant was happening to my life while I couldn't even look. Like missing your own birthday. After the procedure, I checked. Green checkmark again. Approved. No one had asked this time. No one said thank you either. Just expected. Mom texted later. Got it. Not thank you. Not we appreciate it. Just confirmation. Like I'd paid a utility bill. I stared at that message longer than I should have. Then I starred it and dropped it into a folder. Receipts. Didn't know why yet. Just a habit. Like keeping discharge papers. Documentation protects you. By month 4, the pattern settled in. First of the month, transfer. Mid-month, small emergency. Dad's car battery. Mom's dental crown. Vanessa's inventory shipment delay. Nothing huge. Always reasonable alone. Stacked together, they blurred. I started noticing how quickly my checking balance dropped after payday. Like the floor tilting slightly left. Not enough to fall. Just enough to adjust your stance. I worked extra shifts without thinking. Picked up weekends. Skipped a trip coworkers planned to Miami. Told them I had scheduling conflicts. Truth was simpler. I didn't want to check my balance while on vacation. Didn't want to feel irresponsible for spending on myself. One night, after a late trauma case, I got home and found a FedEx envelope wedged under my door. Dad had mailed property insurance paperwork. Highlighted sections. Sticky note attached. Can you cover this too? Easier if it's all you. All you. Like it was efficient. Like consolidating streaming services. I stood in the hallway for a long time with that envelope in my hand. The building smelled like someone cooking onions. A dog barked 2 floors down. My phone battery was at 3%. It wasn't anger I felt. It was something flatter. Like being drafted into a job you didn't apply for. Still, I logged it. Insurance, $812. Added a new row. Color-coded it blue. Mortgage green. Insurance blue. I didn't know it yet, but I'd keep color coding for years. Building categories the way other people build savings. Around midnight, I scrolled through my bank app again. Habit now. Balance transfers upcoming. I noticed something small. A line under the recurring payment. Next scheduled, 401. A repeat, monthly. End date. Blank. No end. I tapped edit. Options popped up. 1 year. 2 years. 5 years. Indefinitely. Indefinitely was already selected. I didn't remember choosing that. Maybe I had. Maybe I didn't. But seeing it spelled out like that, forever, made the room feel smaller. Like the ceiling dropped an inch. The fridge hummed again. Same sound as last night. Same couch. Same one shoe still on. Only now it felt like something had quietly locked behind me. Not a favor. Not temporary. A system. I watched the next date sit there on the screen. Waiting. Like it knew I wouldn't touch it. My thumb hovered over cancel. Didn't move. Because canceling would mean admitting something. And I wasn't ready to name it yet. So I set my phone face down. Left the schedule exactly as it was. Green. Recurring. Indefinitely. And for the first time, the word helping didn't feel right. It felt closer to assigned. Like a shift I never clocked into. But somehow couldn't leave. The printer jammed on page 9. That's how I remember the moment. Paper half-fed, gears clicking, the machine making that dry, mechanical choking sound like it couldn't swallow what I'd given it. I stood in the hospital admin office at 6:17 a.m., alone except for the smell of toner and burnt coffee, staring at the stack already printed. Rows, dates, transfers. My name at the top. Their address in the memo line. I pulled the crumpled page free, smoothed it against the counter, and fed it back through. The sheet came out warm. Like it had a pulse. I stacked everything, tapped the edges square, clipped it together. Too thick for what it was supposed to be. It wasn't even a year yet. And it already had weight. I slid it into my locker behind spare scrubs and protein bars, like something you hide but can't throw away. Then my phone buzzed. Vanessa. Not a call. A photo. She sent it directly this time. Front row seats, stadium lights, wristband glowing pink, some pop star mid-note on stage, arms wide, confetti already falling. Caption. Dad surprised me loudly crying face, best night ever. I zoomed in. VIP lanyard around her neck. Backstage laminate. The kind you don't get cheap. I did the math automatically. Travel, tickets, hotel, merch. My brain calculates costs faster than emotions. Always has. A nurse walked past and said, "You good?" I locked the screen. Yeah. My voice sounded normal. It always does. Shifts blurred. Not in a dramatic, overworked way. Just steady compression. Wake up, hospital, home, transfer hits, repeat. My life started feeling like an assembly line. Payday became a waypoint instead of a reward. Money arrived already spoken for. Like guests showing up with coats you're expected to hold. Dad stopped calling before things were due. He didn't need to. Requests turned into assumptions. Insurance is next week. Property taxes coming up. Vanessa's trying something new. We're backing her. Not questions. Statements. Sometimes he'd say it while chewing, TV on in the background, like he was asking me to pick up milk. Meanwhile, my kitchen light flickered for 3 months because I kept forgetting to buy a bulb. I'd step inside after midnight, apartment quiet, and eat cereal standing at the counter, because sitting felt like admitting how tired I was. I told myself I didn't need much, which is how it starts. You shrink your life to make room for someone else. Thanksgiving, that year was at their place. Same house I was paying for. I parked down the street because the driveway was full of SUVs and a new white Lexus with temporary tags. Vanessa S. Red bow still on the hood for photos. I stood there longer than I should have, keys in my hand, watching her circle the car with her phone, filming. First luxury purchase, she said to her followers, voice breathless. Mom clapped like a child at a magic trick. Inside, the house smelled like sage stuffing and lemon cleaner. Music low, football game murmuring in the living room. Dad kissed Vanessa's head when she walked in, handed her a wrapped box in front of everyone. Applause. She opened it slowly. Designer handbag, beige leather, gold hardware. Someone whistled. Mom said, "She works so hard, she deserves to feel special." Then she looked at me and added, "You're easy. You don't care about stuff like this." Easy. Like I was low maintenance. Like not needing anything was a personality trait. They handed me a foil container. "Can you warm the rolls?" I nodded. Because of course I would. Kitchen tile cold through my shoes. Microwave humming. Family laughter swelling behind me like another room I wasn't part of. I watched the glass plate rotate and realized something small and exact. I was paying for the oven, but I was still the help. Let me ask you real quick. Have you ever been the one everyone leans on because you don't complain? Comment, yes. By winter, the spreadsheet had colors. Mortgage one shade. Insurance another. Then a third for what Dad called little boosts. Those were the dangerous ones. They looked harmless. 200 here, 450 there. A plane ticket. A deposit. A bridge loan. They added up faster than the big stuff. Like paper cuts. You don't notice until the sink turns pink. I started labeling everything. Date stamps, notes. Not out of anger. Out of precision. The same way I chart medication times. Documentation is control. If it's written down, it's real. If it's real, it can't be denied later. I didn't know who I was preparing for. Maybe myself. One Tuesday afternoon, my manager called me into her office. Glass walls, fake plant, smell of dry erase marker. She slid a paper across the desk. Promotion. Lead surgical PA. Bigger team, more authority, better pay. She smiled like she'd handed me a lottery ticket. You earned it. I thanked her. Handshake. Professional. When I stepped back into the hallway, the fluorescent lights felt too bright. For a second, I thought about calling my parents. Telling them first. Letting them hear it from me. Then I remembered the last time I'd shared good news. Dad said, "That's practical." Practical. Like buying socks. So I didn't call. I texted instead. Simple. Got promoted today. Mom replied 40 minutes later. That's nice. Hey, can you handle the roof guy tomorrow? We're short again. No period. Just straight into logistics. I stared at the screen until it dimmed. Then I added another row to the sheet. Roof repair. New color. The house started showing up in my dreams. Not memories. Just blueprints. Rooms labeled with price tags. Kitchen, paid. Garage, paid. Water heater, paid. Like a building inspector, walking through a property that didn't belong to me. Every wall whispering my name, without ever saying it out loud. I'd wake up with my jaw sore from clenching. Check my bank app before my eyes were fully open. Like checking a patient's pulse. Still alive. Still bleeding. One night, Dad called late. Background noise loud. Music, people talking. "You know Vanessa's brand relaunch party is coming up," he said. "We want it to look professional this time." I didn't answer right away. He kept talking. "Just temporary, helps the whole family." The phrase slid across the line like grease. Helps the whole family. Meaning, you. I watched a police car roll past my window outside, lights flickering red and blue across the ceiling. My reflection looked older than I expected. "Send me the invoice," I said. Because I didn't know how to say anything else yet. Because saying no felt like breaking something I couldn't repair. Because being useful had become muscle memory. Later, alone, I opened the spreadsheet again. Scrolled. 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 Rows stretching farther than the screen. My cursor blinking at the bottom like it was waiting for the next entry. Like it already knew there would be one. At the top corner, the total recalculated automatically. The number changed. Higher. Heavier. It didn't shock me. It settled over me. Like snow. Quiet, continuous, inescapable. I rested my palm on the desk and felt the wood cool against my skin. For the first time, I didn't think, they need me. I thought, they expect me. Different word. Sharper. Expectation doesn't say thank you. Expectation doesn't look back. Expectation just opens its hand. And waits. My phone buzzed again. Group text. Mom. Property tax notice came. Due soon. No greeting. No question mark. Just a bill. I looked at the blinking cursor on the spreadsheet. Empty row. Ready. And something inside me, small, quiet, almost clinical, started wondering what would happen if one day. I didn't fill it in. Dad said it while carving the turkey. Knife scraping bone, fork steady, grease popping softly against the pan. He didn't even look up. Our retirement plan is just her. Laughter. Quick, automatic, like a studio audience sign lighting up somewhere. My name wasn't used. Just her. The blade slid through white meat with a wet sound. He lifted a slice and dropped it onto Vanessa's plate first. The skin crackled. Someone poured more wine. My chair wobbled slightly on the tile because one leg was shorter than the others. Every time I shifted my weight, it clicked. No one noticed. I smiled the way you do when a joke is almost harmless enough to let pass. My jaw moved. Teeth showed. It looked right. Across the table, Vanessa leaned back, napkin in her lap, gold bracelet flashing under the chandelier light. She had that post-attention glow, people orbiting her all evening, asking about the brand, about next steps, about momentum. Words that sounded expensive. Mom reached across and brushed hair off her shoulder like she was still 12. "You're going to do amazing things," she said softly. Then louder to the table. "She's always been so brave." Brave. Like trying businesses with other people's money was courage. I swallowed water that tasted faintly metallic and focused on the condensation ring my glass left on the table. Little circles fading into the wood. Everything left marks except me. Dad pointed the knife at me, smiling like he'd said something clever. "She's the practical one," he added. "Not flashy, good with responsibility." Responsibility. The word landed heavier than the joke. Responsibility doesn't get applause. Responsibility just stays. If you've ever been labeled the strong one, you know how it works. People stop checking if you're okay. They assume you don't break. Type same in the comments if you've worn that label before. The football game roared from the living room. A cheer track, someone yelling at the screen. I stood to clear plates without being asked. Carried 3 at once. Porcelain clinking together like teeth. The sink water ran hot, fogging the window above it. My reflection blurred until I looked like a stranger washing someone else's dishes. Behind me, their voices rose and fell. Vanessa telling a story. Everyone listening. My name never coming up. Later, Dad cornered me near the garage fridge. Cold air spilling out, smell of gasoline and old cardboard. He handed me a soda like it was a peace offering. "You know we appreciate you, right?" he said, already halfway turned away. The sentence didn't wait for an answer. Then he added, "Not everyone can be the star. Somebody has to keep the lights on." He said it kindly. That was the part that stuck. Not mean, not cruel. Just certain. Like gravity. I watched him walk back inside. Door swinging shut. The latch clicking like punctuation. Work got sharper after that. Not harder. Sharper. Like everything had edges. The hospital smelled stronger. Bleach, latex, coffee grounds, stale air. Machines beeped louder. Every mistake other people made scraped against my nerves. I found myself volunteering for extra cases before anyone could ask. If I stayed moving, I didn't have to think. Movement feels like purpose. Stillness feels like questions. One night near the end of a shift, I was charting when my phone buzzed against the desk. Group text again. A photo. Vanessa standing between Mom and Dad at some rooftop bar downtown. String lights overhead. City skyline behind them. They all looked young. Happy in a way people are when nothing costs them anything. Caption. Family night. Couldn't do life without these two. I stared at it longer than I meant to. Scrolled back up. No mention of me. Not a tag, not a heart. Nothing. Like I didn't exist in the frame. Which was technically true. I wasn't there. I was at a desk finishing discharge summaries. But still, there's a strange feeling when you realize you're financially present in places you're socially erased from. Like being a ghost who pays rent. I set the phone face down. Finished the chart. Signed my name. Perfect penmanship. Always perfect. Because control has to live somewhere. A week later, Mom called while I was grocery shopping. The store smelled like oranges and floor cleaner. Fluorescent lights flickering overhead. My cart had eggs, spinach, frozen dinners. The usual. She didn't ask how I was. Went straight into it. "We're redoing the guest bathroom," she said. "It's embarrassing when people come over." Embarrassing. I pictured the house. The tile. The mirror. Everything functioning fine last time I'd been there. "It's just cosmetic," she continued, but appearances matter. Appearances. I looked down at my shoes, scuffed, cheap, practical. My entire life was cosmetic-free. I'll send you what the contractor quoted, she said. Not can you. Just I will. My hand tightened on the cart handle until the metal bit into my palm. There was a kid nearby crying for candy, high-pitched, relentless. The sound tunneled straight through my skull. Okay, I heard myself say. Because the alternative, pushing back, explaining, asking why, felt bigger than the moment. Like starting a fight in aisle 7 over paper towels. I hung up. Stood there. Cart wheels squeaking slightly. And for a second I imagined just not going to check out. Walking out. Leaving everything. Letting it all rot. Then I bought the groceries. Paid. Loaded the trunk. Life continued. It always did. The next family dinner, seating had been rearranged. Long table. Vanessa at one end between our parents. Guests rotating around her like satellites. My name card sat near the kitchen door. Next to the kids. Again. I didn't say anything. Just pulled the chair out. The leg scraped loud against tile. A few heads turned. Then turned back. Vanessa started opening a small stack of envelopes. Investor interest, she said, smiling. Mom beamed like she'd won. Dad leaned back in his chair, proud, satisfied. Then he caught my eye and winked. Like we shared some private understanding. Like I was in on the joke. Maybe I was. Maybe the joke was me. After dinner, I stepped outside to breathe. The air smelled like wet leaves in someone's fireplace. Cold enough to sting. I leaned against the hood of my car and watched light spill through the windows. Their silhouettes moving around inside. Arms lifting, heads thrown back laughing. It looked warm. Safe. Like a commercial. From the outside, we probably looked like a perfect family. Successful parents, ambitious daughter, stable daughter. Roles assigned. Neat. Understandable. If you saw us from the street, you'd never guess one of us was quietly funding the whole picture. Have you ever realized you were carrying more than anyone knew, and nobody even noticed the weight? Comment enough if that hits home. My phone buzzed again. Not them. Bank notification. A small charge cleared. Another temporary expense. No warning. Just gone. I opened the app automatically. Scrolled. Watched the balance adjust downward like a tide receding. For the first time, I didn't feel tired. Or annoyed. Or resigned. I felt something colder. Cleaner. Like stepping into winter water. A thought, simple and sharp. They don't think this costs me anything. Not money. It's me. Because if it cost me, they'd hesitate. And they never hesitated. Which meant they didn't see me. Not really. Just the function. The outlet on the wall. Something you plug into. And once you see yourself that way in someone else's life, it's hard to pretend you're furniture. Hard to sit still. Hard to keep smiling when the knife scrapes bone and everyone laughs. Inside, the door opened. Dad's voice carried out. Hey, before you leave, we need to talk about something. Not urgent. Not emotional. Just administrative. Like always. I didn't move right away. just stayed leaning against the hood, keys cold in my hand, staring at the lit windows. Because something in his tone told me whatever came next wasn't a favor. It was another expectation. Already decided. Already mine. The hospital hallway smelled like overheated plastic and stale coffee. Not the normal clean kind of sterile. The bad kind. The kind that means something has gone wrong. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Too bright. Too white. The floor freshly mopped, still damp enough to reflect the ceiling tiles like shallow water. My shoes squeaked with every step. 3 hours earlier, I'd been fine. Charting, drinking burnt coffee, half listening to a resident complain about weekend coverage. Then the call came from the lab. Short, flat, clinical. Your lab's flagged. You need imaging, tonight. No drama in the voice. Which made it worse. When medical professionals stop using emotion, you pay attention. Now I was sitting alone in radiology intake, wearing paper scrubs that never quite close in the back, phone face down on my thigh, heart ticking too fast for someone who lectures patients about stress management. Across from me, a vending machine rattled every few seconds like it was trying to cough something up. The TV on the wall showed muted daytime talk shows, people laughing with captions under their mouths. My name had been called once already. 10 more minutes, the tech said. Machine S backed up. 10 minutes is nothing. Unless you're waiting to find out if something inside you is broken. I don't get scared easily. I've held pressure on bleeding arteries. I've watched monitors flatline and brought them back. But it's different when it's your body. When you're not the one standing. When you're the one lying down. I picked up my phone. Scrolled through contacts. There's a strange instinct when you're vulnerable. You don't want solutions. You want someone to sit next to you. Just that. Someone familiar. Someone who says, I'm here. I tapped Dad's name. It rang longer than usual. Background noise when he answered. Music, laughter, glass clinking. He sounded winded, like he'd stepped away from something fun. Hey, kiddo, what's up? Kiddo. He only used that word when he wanted something or didn't want something. I'm at the hospital, I said. There was a pause. Then a small chuckle. Yeah, you work there. No, I said. I'm not working. They found something. I need imaging. I swallowed. My throat felt dry, like I'd swallowed dust. I just don't want to be here alone. Simple. No drama. No money. No ask bigger than a chair. Silence on his end. Muffled voices. Someone shouting, Vanessa, over here. Then he covered the phone with his hand, thinking I couldn't hear. What time does it start? Another voice. Mom's. Doors open already. We're late. Then him again, back on the line. So tonight's tough, he said lightly. We've got those tickets with your sister. Big deal thing. You know how these events are. I stared at the blank tile floor. One tile had a crack running diagonally through it. My eyes traced it like a map. I won't be long, I said. It's just scans. Can't you call a friend? He asked. Like it was unreasonable to call him. Like this was logistics. Like I'd asked for a ride to the airport. I thought you might want to. Hey, he cut in gently. You're strong. You handle this stuff better than we would anyway. There it was again. Strong. A compliment shaped like an exit. We already paid a lot for these seats, he added. Non-refundable. Non-refundable. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Right, I said. Text us what they say, okay. Not we're coming. Not do you need anything. Just information. Like I was reporting a weather update. Before he hung up, I heard Vanessa in the background. High energy, breathless. Tell her good luck, she said. Then laughter. The call ended. I stayed looking at the crack in the tile. For a second, everything got very quiet. Not emotionally. Physically. Like someone had turned down the volume of the world. If you've ever asked for the smallest kind of help and still felt like you were asking too much, you know that silence. Type here if you've been there. My phone buzzed again. Text from Mom. I didn't open it right away. I knew. Still, I opened it. We have Taylor Swift tickets with Vanessa tonight. You'll figure it out. Then another bubble. Don't make this into a bigger deal than it needs to be. And then, from Vanessa herself, a single laughing emoji. Not even words. Just that. Bright yellow. Mouth open. Like my situation was a punchline. I read it twice. Not because I didn't understand. Because I wanted to make sure I wasn't inventing cruelty where there wasn't any. But it was exactly what it looked like. No misinterpretation possible. I screenshotted it. Didn't think about why. Just did. Saved it to a folder. Same place as everything else. Receipts. The tech opened the door. Ready. I slid the phone into my locker. Metal clanged shut. The room smelled like cold air and disinfectant wipes. The machine was louder than I expected. Low mechanical whirring. Like being inside a giant washing machine. I lay down. Arms crossed over my chest. Ceiling 6 inches from my nose. They slid me into the tube. White walls closing in. Don't move, the tech said through the speaker. The machine started. Clank, whir, knock, pause, repeat. It sounded like construction happening inside my skull. In that narrow space, staring at nothing, a thought came in clean and sharp. If something's really wrong, they won't even be here. Not because they can't. Because they chose not to. And that clarity hurt more than any diagnosis could have. When the scan finished, I dressed slowly. Hands steady. Face neutral. The same face I use with patients when I'm explaining things gently. Professional. Contained. I checked my phone. 3 new photos in the group chat. Vanessa on someone's shoulders at the concert. Lights exploding behind her. Mom crying happy tears. Dad grinning like he just won something. Caption. Best night ever. 3 exclamation points. I zoomed in. Their smiles were huge. Uncomplicated. No hint they declined their daughter sitting alone 20 minutes away in the same building she worked in every day. I didn't feel angry. That surprised me. Anger is hot. This wasn't hot. This was cold. Like touching stainless steel. Like stepping outside without a jacket. Something inside me just hardened. Clean break. Like a bone snapping quietly. I put the phone away. Walked out to the parking lot. Night air sharp in my lungs. The sky empty. My car alone under a flickering light. I sat behind the wheel but didn't start it. Hands resting on the steering wheel. The hospital entrance glowing behind me. People going in and out. Some with family. Some holding hands. Some arguing. Some laughing. Normal human stuff. I realized something then. All those years of being easy, of being reliable, of not asking for anything. The one time I did ask, they treated it like an inconvenience. Not a daughter. An interruption. Like a spam call. And once you see that clearly, there's no going back to the old version of the story. You can't pretend it's love anymore. You can't dress it up as support. It's just extraction. Simple. Mechanical. They take. You supply. Nothing else. My phone buzzed one more time. Dad. Everything good. 2 words. After. After the concert started. After they'd already chosen. After. I stared at the message. Thumb hovering over the keyboard. For the first time in my life. I didn't answer. The first thing I did the next morning was open my laptop before my eyes were fully awake. No coffee. No shower. Just the blue glow of the screen in the dark. 6:12 a.m. My apartment still cold. My scrubs draped over the chair from last night, stiff with dried sweat. I sat at the kitchen counter and logged into the bank. Password muscle memory. 2-factor code. Loading circle. Balance. Then the list of transfers. Same line, same description, same date coming up in 3 days. Automatic. Scheduled. Like gravity. I watched the little green checkmark beside it. Active. There was a time when seeing that felt responsible, adult, dependable. Now it looked different. Like a leash. I hovered the cursor over edit. My hand didn't shake. I expected it to. But it didn't. It felt the way it does before you cut your hair after a breakup. Quiet, decided. Click. The amount box blinked. I highlighted the number. Deleted it. The empty space looked bigger than it should have. Like the screen exhaled. I typed 0. Paused. Not 0. That felt dramatic. Dramatic makes you look irrational. And I wasn't irrational. I was precise. So I hit cancel recurring transfer. A small warning popped up. Are you sure you want to stop future payments? Like it was protecting me from myself. Like this was dangerous. I stared at the message for a long time. Because I knew this wasn't about money. This was about identity. If I wasn't the one fixing everything, who was I in that family? If you've ever been the dependable one, you know how sneaky that role is. People don't just take your help. They build their lives assuming it never disappears. My finger clicked confirm. No sound. No fireworks. Just a quiet refresh. The line vanished. Like it had never existed. 8 years of habit gone in half a second. I waited for guilt. Nothing. Just a strange lightness in my chest. Like I'd taken off a backpack I forgot I was wearing. Work swallowed the day. 2 back-to-back procedures, 1 combative patient, a supply cart that kept sticking on a loose wheel. Normal chaos. But something had shifted. Tiny. Subtle. I stopped volunteering for extra shifts. Stopped staying late to help out. When the clock hit the end of my schedule, I left. No explanation. No apology. Walking out on time felt illegal. Like shoplifting. The sky outside was still blue. I couldn't remember the last time I'd seen daylight after work. I sat in my car with the engine off and just looked around. People walking dogs. A kid riding a scooter. Some guy arguing with his girlfriend over speakerphone. Regular life. Not hospital life. Not family obligation life. Just neutral. I realized I didn't actually know what I liked doing anymore. Every decision for years had been filtered through one question. How much can I afford to give? Not what do I want. Give. Always give. I drove home slowly. Didn't rush. Didn't check my phone. Didn't open the family group chat. For the first time, their noise didn't feel urgent. It felt optional. That scared me a little. Because when something stops feeling urgent, it means it's losing power over you. And people who rely on your urgency don't handle that well. The call came at 4:03 p.m. Mom. I let it ring once. Twice. 3 times. Then answered. Her voice was already tight. Hey, quick thing. Never quick. The mortgage didn't pull. I leaned against the kitchen counter. Opened the fridge. Closed it. I know, I said. Silence. Like she didn't process the sentence. What do you mean you know? I stopped it. Flat, calm, like discussing weather. Another pause. Then a small laugh. Oh, okay, so just fix it. I'm not restarting it. The words landed heavier than I expected. Not loud, but solid. Like setting a brick down. What do you mean you're not restarting it? She asked. Her tone wasn't angry yet. Just confused. Like I'd spoken the wrong language. I'm not paying it anymore. There it was. Said out loud. No spreadsheet. No private thought. Real. The air in the kitchen felt thinner. You're joking, she said. I'm not. But you always. I did, I said. Past tense. She inhaled sharply. I could hear dishes clinking in the background. Dad's TV. Normal house sounds. Life continuing. Sweetheart, we budget around that, she said. You can't just stop. Can't. Like it wasn't my money. Like it was a utility. I just did. Her voice shifted then. Edges coming out. This isn't like you. I almost laughed. You know what people say when you finally set a boundary? They say you've changed. Like changing is a crime. Like suffering consistently was the real you. I can't carry it anymore, I said. That's dramatic. There it was again. Dramatic. Anytime I expressed a limit, it became drama. Anytime they expressed a need, it was practical. If you've ever been told you're overreacting, just for protecting yourself, you already know how lonely that sentence feels. She lowered her voice. We helped you too, you know. I waited. For examples. Nothing came. Just that vague, emotional debt people invent when they're losing leverage. I have to go, I said. You're seriously leaving us like this. Like this. As if I'd set the house on fire. As if years of silent transfers hadn't happened. I'm not leaving you, I said quietly. I'm just not paying for everything. She didn't say goodbye. She hung up. The group chat lit up 10 minutes later. Dad, what's going on? Vanessa, Mom says you're acting weird. Weird. Interesting word. Not wrong. Not unfair. Just weird. Like I'd glitched. Like the machine stopped working. I didn't answer. Put the phone face down. Let it buzz. Buzz again. Buzz again. Each vibration smaller. Less urgent. Like distant thunder. I made dinner. Actually cooked. Garlic sizzling in the pan. Butter melting. Smelled real. Not microwave plastic. I ate at the table instead of the couch. Fork scraping ceramic. Quiet apartment. No TV. No noise. Just me. It should have felt lonely. Instead, it felt clear. Like cleaning a foggy mirror. For the first time in years, there wasn't a transaction tied to the day. No money sent. No favor promised. No emotional labor scheduled. Just time. It was mine. I didn't realize how rare that was until I had it. My phone buzzed one more time. Unknown number. Voicemail. Dad's voice. Short. Tighter than usual. Call me back. We need to talk. This isn't how families work. Not how families work. I replayed that line twice. Because he was right. Families aren't supposed to work like this. One person funding everyone else. One person always adjusting. Maybe this wasn't breaking the family. Maybe it was the first honest thing I'd done inside it. I deleted the voicemail. Not angry. Not shaking. Just done. Then I turned my phone off completely. And for the first time in a long time, the silence didn't scare me. The knocking started before my alarm. Hard, flat, not polite. 3 quick hits against the door. Then 3 more. Not a neighbor, not delivery. Too certain. I lay still for a second, staring at the ceiling fan, trying to place the sound inside a dream. Knock, knock, knock. Again. My phone on the nightstand read 6:48 a.m. No one comes over at 6:48 a.m. with good news. I slid out of bed, feet cold on the tile, heart already moving faster than it should. Didn't check the peephole right away. For a split second, I hoped it was something random. Maintenance, wrong apartment, mistake. I looked. Dad's jacket. Mom's hair. Vanessa behind them, arms folded, chewing gum like this was entertainment. They'd driven across town. Together. Like a team. Like an intervention. I opened the door halfway. Didn't step back to invite them in. What are you doing here? I asked. Dad pushed past the question and leaned into the doorway, peering over my shoulder like he was inspecting damage. We've been calling, he said. I turned my phone off. Why? Because I wanted quiet. Because every buzz felt like a demand. Because I didn't want to hear your voice telling me what I owe you. But I didn't say any of that. I needed sleep. Mom brushed past him, already inside, already looking around. Her eyes did that thing, scanning. Judging. Small apartment, minimal furniture, no upgrades. Like she expected to see where all the money had gone. Vanessa stayed near the door, scrolling through her phone, like she was waiting for a show to start. No one said good morning. No one asked how I was. Dad crossed his arms. So, he said, what's this about? Like I'd called the meeting. I stayed standing. Didn't offer coffee. Didn't offer chairs. If you've ever had people walk into your space like they own you, you know how fast your home stops feeling like yours. I told Mom already, I said. I'm not covering the house anymore. He blinked. Like I'd said something abstract. You don't just stop something like that, he said. I did. Vanessa snorted softly. Are we seriously doing this right now? She muttered. It's not even 9. I looked at her. Really looked. Perfect nails, new sneakers, that expensive jacket she'd posted last week. The one she called a treat. Funded by what exactly? Dad stepped closer. Voice lower now. This is selfish. Selfish. Interesting. Years of sending money equals normal. One boundary equals selfish. I didn't argue. Didn't defend. Just said, I'm done. Mom opened my fridge without asking. Looked inside like she was searching for proof of something. You're not struggling, she said. You're fine. Because I had groceries. Because I wasn't crying on the floor. Because survival looks like luxury to people who have never had to earn it. I'm not fine, I said quietly. She waved a hand. You're being dramatic again. There it was. That word. Like a stamp. Dramatic. Applied any time my needs appeared. If you've ever been told your pain is too much, you start shrinking it. Start apologizing for it. Start pretending it's smaller than it is. I stopped shrinking. I'm tired, I said. That's it. Dad laughed once. Short. That's everyone. No, I said. This kind of tired doesn't sleep off. They didn't get it. Didn't want to. Because understanding would require admitting something. Vanessa finally looked up from her phone. So what, you're just cutting us off? She asked. The way she said it, like I'd stolen something. Like I owed her. I remembered her laughing emoji from the hospital. Bright yellow. Mouth wide. My chest went cold again. I'm not cutting you off, I said. I'm just not financing everything. She rolled her eyes. God, you make it sound so dramatic. It's just family helping family. Helping. Funny word. Helping usually means optional. This was expected. Automatic. Like breathing. Dad took a step closer. Close enough I could smell his cologne. You know what this does to us, right? He said. We planned around you. Planned around me. Not with me. Around. Like I was an appliance. Like a dishwasher that suddenly stopped running. You'll figure it out, I said. The second the words left my mouth, I recognized them. Same sentence they'd used on me. Same tone. Calm, detached. It hit him. His face changed. Because it didn't sound good coming back. Don't throw our words at us, he snapped. I didn't respond. Didn't need to. Mom sat down heavily on my couch, like she'd just received bad news. This is unbelievable, she said. After everything we've done for you. There it was again. That invisible list. The one no one could ever show me. What exactly have you done for me? I asked. Not aggressive. Just curious. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Looked at Dad. Looked at Vanessa. Nothing. No examples. Just vibes. Just guilt. Vanessa shrugged. We supported you emotionally, she said. Emotionally. I almost laughed. At the hospital last week. Alone. Phone buzzing with concert photos. Emotionally. If you've ever realized the support someone claims they gave you never actually happened, it messes with your head. Makes you question your own memory. But mine was clear. Painfully clear. Dad's voice hardened. If you don't restart the payments, we're going to have problems. Problems. Not we'll struggle. Not we're scared. Problems. Like a threat wearing a tie. Something in me finally clicked into place. A clean, quiet realization. They weren't disappointed. They weren't hurt. They were scared of losing access. Not me. Access. There's a difference. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. I walked to the door. Opened it. Cold morning air slid in. I have work, I said. They stared at me. Waiting for me to cave. Waiting for the old version of me to apologize. She didn't show up. Vanessa scoffed first. Unbelievable, she muttered, brushing past me. Dad followed, jaw tight. Mom lingered. Looked at me like I'd betrayed something sacred. You're going to regret this, she said softly. Not loud. Not angry. Certain. Like a curse. Then she left. The hallway went quiet. I closed the door slowly. Locked it. The click sounded louder than usual. Like sealing something. I stood there for a second, hand still on the knob, heart steady. No panic. No second thoughts. Just quiet. Then my phone, still off on the counter, caught my eye. I picked it up. Powered it on. It lit up immediately. Notifications stacking. Missed calls. Texts. Emails. All from them. All already urgent. Already demanding. Before 7 a.m. I stared at the screen. And for the first time, I didn't feel responsible. I felt free. And that scared me more than anything. Because people don't react well when the person they depend on stops being dependable. The first charge hit on a Tuesday afternoon between patients. My phone buzzed against the metal desk hard enough to rattle a pen. I almost ignored it. Most notifications from my bank were routine. Groceries, gas, something small. But this one stayed on the screen longer than usual. Large transaction alert. My stomach tightened before I even opened it. I hadn't bought anything. Didn't have time to buy anything. I stepped into the supply closet, shut the door with my foot, and pulled up the app. The fluorescent light flickered overhead. The place smelled like gauze and plastic wrap. Transaction history. Scrolling. Then I saw it. A withdrawal. 4 figures. Labeled, authorized transfer. Authorized. I stared at the word like it was misspelled. I hadn't authorized anything. I opened the details. Linked external account. The last 4 digits looked familiar. Too familiar. Not mine. Theirs. The old shared access account from years ago. Back when Dad said, "It's just easier this way for family stuff." Back when trusting them felt automatic. I'd forgotten it even existed. Apparently, they hadn't. My pulse climbed into my throat. They didn't ask. Didn't call. Didn't text. They just took it. Like reaching into the fridge at their own house. Like it belonged to them. For a second, I wondered if it was a mistake. A system glitch. Wrong account. Something logical. So I called the bank. The hold music sounded tinny and cheerful. Too upbeat for the way my hands were shaking. A woman answered. Calm voice, scripted kindness. I explained. She typed. Paused. Typed again. Then she said, Yes, I see the transfer. It was initiated through a linked family account that has prior authorization on file. Prior authorization. Like this was medical. Like consent from years ago, never expired. I want it reversed, I said. I'm sorry, she said gently. Because the access was granted, it's considered valid. Valid. The word felt worse than illegal. Illegal would mean wrongdoing. Valid meant they were allowed. Allowed to reach into my life whenever they wanted. Can I remove the link? I asked. Of course, but it won't affect what's already processed. Of course. Always after. I closed my eyes. The closet felt smaller. Air thinner. If you'd like, she added, I can put a note on the account requesting dual confirmation for future transfers. Future. Like there would be more. I swallowed. Yes, I said, do that. When the call ended, I just stood there, listening to my own breathing. Slow. Controlled. Like I was about to walk into surgery. There's something uniquely violating about someone taking from you without even pretending to ask. Not borrowing. Not needing. Taking. If you've ever had someone treat your effort like an ATM, you know exactly how quiet that anger feels. Not explosive, just cold. I didn't text them. Didn't call. I wanted to see what they'd do. If they'd mention it. If they'd act normal. If they'd pretend nothing happened. That felt important. So I waited. 3 hours passed. Nothing. Then finally, the group chat lit up. Vanessa. Bathroom reno started. It looks insane already. Photos followed. Marble counters. Gold fixtures. Designer sink. Luxury. The kind of upgrade you see in home magazines. Mom replied with heart emojis. Dad sent, worth every penny. Worth every penny. My vision tunneled for a second. I zoomed into one photo. The contractor's invoice taped to the wall. The total circled in red. The exact amount missing from my account. Not close. Exact. They didn't even try to hide it. Didn't say thank you. Didn't explain. They just celebrated. Like my money was background noise. Like oxygen. Expected. Invisible. Something inside me didn't crack. Didn't shatter. It just shut off. Like flipping a breaker. All those years of trying to be understanding. Of rationalizing. Of telling myself they mean well. Gone. Not anger. Not grief. Just clarity. Crystal clear. They didn't see me as a person. They saw me as infrastructure. Utilities. Electricity. You don't thank electricity. You just use it. I typed one message. Deleted it. Typed another. Deleted that too. Because arguing wouldn't fix this. Explaining wouldn't fix this. People who feel entitled don't listen. They calculate. So I stopped thinking emotionally. Started thinking practically. I opened my laptop that night. Changed every password. Bank. Email. Everything. Closed the old linked account entirely. Not removed. Closed. Permanent. Requested new cards. New numbers. Knew everything. Then I pulled up the folder. Screenshots. Transfers. Texts. The laughing emoji. The concert photos. The invoice. All of it. Evidence. A paper trail of quiet extraction. I didn't fully know why I was organizing it, but I knew I needed it. Like packing a bag before a storm. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. Dad. I answered this time. His voice was casual. Too casual. Hey, he said. Just wanted to let you know we used the account for the contractor. Figured it was fine since you weren't answering earlier. Figured it was fine. Like grabbing napkins. Next time, just give us a heads up before shutting things off like that, he added. It messes with scheduling. Scheduling. Not sorry. Not thanks. Scheduling. I stared at the wall while he talked. Paint slightly peeling near the corner. Tiny crack running down like a vein. Don't do that again, I said. He laughed. Not mean. Just dismissive. Don't be sensitive. It's family. Family. That word again. Used like a weapon. Like a key to every locked door. I didn't argue. Didn't raise my voice. Just said, you don't have access anymore. A pause. What do you mean? I closed it. Silence. The first real silence I'd ever heard from him. You what? I closed it. His tone changed instantly. Sharp. You can't just. I can. Flat. Certain. The same certainty they always had with me. I gave it back. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he said something quiet. Low. Different. Don't make this ugly. Not sad. Not disappointed. Threatened. Ugly. Like he already saw where this could go. I looked at the folder on my laptop. Every screenshot. Every number. Every proof. My hand resting on the mouse. And for the first time, I realized this wasn't just a family problem anymore. This was something else. Something bigger. Because when people feel entitled to your life long enough, they don't give it back peacefully. And the way his voice sounded, it didn't feel like the end of a fight. It felt like the start of one. The first voicemail came during surgery. My phone was locked in my locker, buried under my jacket, but somehow I still felt it. That phantom vibration. Like your body knows before you do. When the procedure ended and I scrubbed out, my hands smelled like iodine and latex. My shoulders ached. My eyes burned from the lights. Normal fatigue. The kind I understood. The kind with a reason. I opened the locker. 6 missed calls. All from home. Not spaced out. Stacked. Back to back. I didn't listen right away. Just stared at the notifications like they might rearrange themselves into something harmless. They didn't. I hit play on the first one. Dad's voice. Tight. Controlled. Call me, now. Click. Second one. Seriously, pick up your phone. Click. Third. This is getting ridiculous. Click. Fourth. Mom this time. Her tone thin and trembling, like she was already crying. Why are you doing this to us? Doing this to us. Like I'd keyed their car. Like I'd hurt them. Like I'd caused damage instead of stopping it. I leaned back against the cold metal lockers and let my head rest against the steel. The hallway smelled like disinfectant and burnt coffee. Somewhere down the corridor, a monitor alarm beeped steadily. Life continuing. Emergencies happening. Real ones. And here I was listening to people panic because their access to me had been revoked. It felt absurd. Like arguing about a broken faucet during a fire. The last voicemail was from Vanessa. Laughing at first. Then annoyed. Okay, this silent treatment thing. Super immature. Mom's freaking out. Just send the money and stop being weird. Stop being weird. Like boundaries were a personality flaw. If you've ever stepped out of a role people rely on, you know what happens next. They don't ask what you need. They ask why you're malfunctioning. I deleted all of them. Didn't respond. Went back to work. By the end of the shift, my name felt heavier. Like everyone saying it was adding weight. Can you stay late? Can you check this chart? Can you cover this? Normally, I'd say yes automatically. Today, I said no. Every time. Short, calm, no explanation. The first no felt awkward. The second easier. By the third, it was just a word. Funny how something so small can feel illegal when you're not used to using it. Walking to my car that evening, the sky was orange and purple, low clouds catching the last light. I realized something strange. For the first time in years, I wasn't rushing home to solve someone else's problem. There was no transfer due. No emergency text. No guilt clock ticking. Just space. It should have felt peaceful. Instead, it felt like the quiet before weather changes. Like the air gets still before a storm. When I got home, there was an envelope taped to my door. Not mailed. Taped. Crooked. Aggressive. My name writ in Dad's handwriting. Blocky, pressed hard enough to dent the paper. I stood there for a second, just looking at it. The hallway smelled like someone's dinner, fried onions and oil. A neighbor's TV murmured through the wall. Normal sounds. Normal life. And this envelope like a threat nailed to a tree. I peeled it off slowly. The tape tore. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Printed. Not handwritten. That made it worse. Formal. Cold. A breakdown of shared family expenses. Columns. Dates. Totals. At the bottom, highlighted. Your portion, OWD. A number. Big enough to make most people flinch. They'd turned it around. Rewritten the story. According to this, I wasn't the one who'd been carrying them. I owed them. For childhood. For housing. For support. They de-itemized my existence. Like rent. Like I'd been a tenant since birth. I actually laughed. Out loud. Not because it was funny. Because it was so detached from reality, It felt like satire. They weren't asking anymore. They were invoicing me. If you've ever had someone rewrite history to make themselves the victim, you know how surreal it feels. Like you're watching your life get edited without your permission. At the bottom was a note. Dad's handwriting this time. We don't want to do this legally. Call us. Legally. The words sat there like a loaded gun. My chest didn't tighten. Didn't panic. It just went quiet. Because threats only work if you're afraid of losing something. And I'd already lost the version of them I thought I had. I went inside. Locked the door. Set the paper on the kitchen counter. Stared at it while the fridge hummed. Then I did something I hadn't planned. I opened my laptop again. Pulled up that folder. All the records. Every transfer. Every message. Every screenshot. I started organizing them by year. Then by category. Mortgage. Repairs. Loans. Extras. Concerts. Trips. Renovations. The numbers stacked. Higher. 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 Not estimates. Exact. Documented. Time-stamped. Cold. Objective. By the time I finished, my eyes hurt. But the picture was clear. Painfully clear. Not gray. Not complicated. Just math. If you laid their invoice next to mine, theirs looked like a joke. A child's drawing next to blueprints. I printed everything. Pages sliding out warm from the printer. The stack thick. Heavy. Real. I set their single sheet beside mine. It looked small. Pathetic. Like they'd brought a toy to a gunfight. My phone buzzed again. Dad calling. I let it ring. Then ring again. Then stop. Then a text. Don't ignore us. This is serious. Serious. I looked at the pile of paper on my table. Years of quiet proof. My entire 20s condensed into receipts. I realized something then. They thought this was still emotional. Still family. Still guilt. But this wasn't emotional anymore. This was documentation. Evidence. And evidence doesn't care who's louder. It just tells the truth. I picked up their invoice one last time. Read the total again. Then folded it in half. Then again. Then dropped it in the trash. My phone buzzed one more time. Unknown number this time. Voicemail notification. Short. Automated voice. This is a courtesy. Notice regarding a consultation request. Consultation. Legal office name I didn't recognize. My name. My parents' names. And the word recovery. I didn't move for a long time. Just stood there in the quiet kitchen, the fridge humming, the stack of paper heavy under my hand. Because now it wasn't just pressure. It wasn't guilt. It wasn't family drama. They were actually trying to come after me. And the scariest part wasn't the threat. It was how calm I felt. Like I'd been expecting this the whole time. I didn't go to work the next morning. First time in years. No flu. No injury. No excuse. I just emailed scheduling, personal day. Hit send before I could overthink it. The apartment felt different in daylight. Too quiet. Like it was waiting to see what I'd do. The stack of printed records still sat on the kitchen table where I left them. Neat, squared, heavy. Their envelope was gone, trash taken out last night. But the voicemail from that legal office was. I replayed it once while making coffee. Same robotic tone. Same last name. Same word. Recovery. Like I was stolen property. I set the mug down harder than I meant to. Coffee sloshed over the rim and burned my fingers. Didn't even react. My brain had already shifted into a different mode. Not emotional. Procedural. Like triage. Step 1, verify. Step 2, protect. Step 3, respond. I Googled the firm name. Generic website. Stock photos of smiling professionals shaking hands. Words like family resolution and financial mediation. Polite language for ugly situations. At the bottom, a number. I called. A receptionist answered. Bright, cheerful. I gave my name. The change in her tone was immediate. Oh, yes, one moment, please. Hold music. Soft piano. Like a spa. Then a man picked up. Measured voice, slow, careful. Ms., thank you for calling back. Your parents reached out regarding an informal recovery discussion. Informal. Everything is informal until it is. What exactly are they claiming? I asked. Paper shuffling on his end. They've stated that you've been withholding agreed-upon family contributions, and that certain shared assets may have been misallocated. I almost smiled. Legal language has a funny way of making nonsense sound legitimate. Withholding, he said. Like I stole. Misallocated. Like I committed fraud. They also mentioned you abruptly severed access to joint accounts. Joint. Interesting word. I pictured years of deposits. One direction. Like a river flowing downhill. Did they provide documentation? I asked. A pause. Not at this time. They indicated they were hoping to resolve this privately. Of course they were. Because documentation doesn't like them. Documentation likes me. I have records, I said. Extensive ones. Another pause. Longer. Paper shifting again. Well, if that's the case, we'd be happy to review anything you'd like to submit. The politeness thinned slightly. Like the ground just tilted. I'll send it today, I said. Very good. His voice wasn't confident anymore. Just careful. Call ended. I stood there staring at the counter. It hit me then. They actually believed they could intimidate me into sending money. Like I was still the same version of myself. Like fear still worked. If you've ever watched someone underestimate you because you've always been quiet, you know this moment. The second they realize you kept receipts. I opened my laptop. Started scanning everything. Each page feeding through the machine with that slow mechanical whir. Transfer confirmations. Statements. Messages. Dates. Proof. Cold and boring and undeniable. No drama. Just math. By the time I finished, the digital folder looked like an audit. Years condensed into megabytes. I attached it all to one email. Subject line simple. Documentation of financial contributions. No emotion. No explanation. Just files. I hit send. Sat back. Waited. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. Same number. The lawyer. Already. That was thorough, he said. Professional tone cracked just slightly. Yes. I'll be candid, he continued. Based on what you provided, their claim doesn't appear viable. Doesn't appear viable. Polite way of saying impossible. They would actually face significant exposure if this escalated formally. Exposure. Another word that means trouble. For them. Not me. I figured, I said. He cleared his throat. If you'd like my advice, you may want to consider ceasing all informal contact and communicating only in writing moving forward. Legal speak for protect yourself. Translation, they're not acting like family. They're acting like opponents. Thank you, I said. When the call ended, I felt something I hadn't felt since this started. Not relief. Not victory. Just steadiness. Like the ground stopped moving. For the first time, the power dynamic flipped. Not because I yelled. Not because I fought. Because I documented. Truth is quiet. But it's heavy. That afternoon, there was another knock. Softer this time. Not pounding. Almost hesitant. I checked the peephole. Vanessa. Alone. No parents. No backup. She looked smaller somehow. Still stylish, still put together. But her shoulders weren't squared like usual. I opened the door halfway. What do you want? I asked. She didn't meet my eyes. Can we talk? I didn't invite her in. She stayed in the hallway. Smelled like someone's cooking again, oil and spices. Normal life happening around us. I didn't know they were going to call lawyers, she said. I said nothing. She kicked at the carpet. They're stressed, you know how they get. I watched her carefully. For once, she didn't sound superior. She sounded nervous. They said you're trying to ruin them, she added. Ruin. Interesting choice. I stopped paying, I said. That's not ruin, that's adulthood. She winced. Like the word stung. You could have just talked to them. I held her gaze. I tried. She didn't argue. Didn't joke. Didn't roll her eyes. Just quiet. Then she said something I didn't expect. They might lose the house. Not accusing. Just factual. Like she finally understood the math. I waited for guilt to hit. It didn't. Because losing something you can't afford isn't tragedy. It's consequence. I'm not their plan anymore, I said. She swallowed. Then what are we supposed to do? We. First honest word she'd used. For a second, I saw it. Not the golden child. Not the favorite. Just someone who'd built her life assuming I'd always be there to catch the bill. Now the floor was gone. If you've ever stepped back and watched people realize they have to stand on their own for the first time, it's uncomfortable. For everyone. I don't know, I said. And I meant it. Because it wasn't my job to solve any more. She nodded slowly. Like she finally understood something. Then she looked up at me. Eyes different. Not mocking. Not entitled. Just uncertain. Dad's talking about selling, she said quietly. And he's mad, like really mad. I didn't respond. She hesitated. Then added, he said if he has to go down, he's not going alone. The hallway felt colder. Her words just hanging there. Not dramatic. Just matter of fact. Like she was quoting weather. Then she stepped back. Just be careful, okay? She left before I could ask what that meant. Her footsteps fading down the hall. Door shutting somewhere. Silence. I locked my door slowly. Walked back to the table. Looked at my laptop. At the folder. At the evidence. At the life I just untangled. Everything neat. Everything documented. Everything logical. And yet, my chest felt tight for the first time all day. Because logic doesn't stop someone who's desperate. And my father had never handled losing well. The letter arrived on a Thursday. Not taped. Not shoved under the door. Not handwritten. Certified mail. Official. Barcoded. The kind you have to sign for. The postal worker waited while I scribbled my name on the little gray screen. He didn't look at me twice, just another envelope, another address. To him, it was nothing. To me, it felt heavier than it should. Paper shouldn't weigh this much. I closed the door and stood there for a second, turning it over in my hands. Law office letterhead. They're firm. My last name typed clean and centered like a headline. The fridge hummed behind me. A car passed outside. Someone upstairs dropped something and cursed. It was a normal day. Which made it stranger. Because the last few weeks had felt like everything was tilting, accelerating, about to crash. And now quiet. I slid a finger under the flap and opened it carefully, like it might explode. 2 pages. Dense. Black text. Legal language. I didn't rush. I sat down at the table, flattened the paper with my palm, started reading. Halfway through, my shoulders dropped. Not dramatically. Just gravity returning. The claim had been withdrawn. That word exactly. Withdrawn. No admission, no apology, no explanation. Just a polite paragraph about misunderstandings and no further action at this time. No further action. The legal equivalent of backing out of a room without making eye contact. My documentation had done its job. Math beat manipulation. Records beat guilt. Truth beat noise. They'd tried pressure. Tried threats. Tried rewriting history. And when faced with proof, they folded. Not because they understood. Because they couldn't win. It wasn't justice in a movie sense. No courtroom. No speeches. No dramatic confession. Just paperwork. Cold. Boring. Final. And somehow that felt more satisfying. Because real life rarely gives you fireworks. It gives you signatures. If you've ever had someone try to bully you until you showed receipts, you know this feeling. Quiet vindication. Not loud, just solid. I set the letter down. Read it again anyway. Just to be sure it was real. Then I laughed once under my breath. Not happy. Not bitter. Just done. They didn't call. Not that day. Not the next. The group chat went silent too. No photos. No updates. No family night. Like someone had unplugged it. For years, their noise had been constant. Now it was gone. I didn't realize how much space that noise took up in my head until it stopped. The quiet felt enormous. At first, I kept checking my phone out of habit, waiting for the next demand, the next guilt trip, the next quick thing. Nothing. Just normal notifications. Work emails. Grocery app discounts. Spam. Regular life. It was almost unsettling. Like walking out of a factory after years and realizing how loud it actually was inside. 2 weeks later, I drove past the old house by accident. I hadn't planned to. Missed a turn. Ended up on that street without thinking. Muscle memory. The place looked smaller than I remembered. Paint faded. Yard a little overgrown. A real estate sign planted crooked in the grass. For sale. Big red letters. I slowed without meaning to. The curtains were gone. Windows empty. No lights. No cars. Just hollow. Like a stage after the show ends. For a second, I pictured all the holidays. All the dinners. All the times I'd stood in that kitchen sending money from my phone, while everyone laughed in the next room. All the years I thought keeping that house afloat meant keeping the family intact. Turns out, the house was never the glue. It was just an expense. And I'd been the one covering it. Without me, the illusion collapsed fast. Which told me something I probably should have seen earlier. It was never stable. I just kept it propped up. I didn't feel guilty. Didn't feel triumphant either. Just observant. Like watching a building you once worked in get demolished. Sad in a distant way. But not personal anymore. If you've ever outgrown a place that once defined you, you know this feeling. Familiar, but no longer yours. The light turned green. I kept driving. Didn't look back. My life got quieter after that. Smaller in a good way. I stopped picking up extra shifts I didn't want. Started running in the mornings. Nothing intense. Just slow miles around the neighborhood while the sun came up. Breathing cold air. Listening to my shoes hit pavement. Left foot, right foot, left. Simple. Predictable. Mine. I bought new plates. Threw out the chipped ones I'd kept, just in case. Started cooking actual meals. Hung a picture on the wall. Little stuff. Stuff I never had the energy for before, because all my energy went outward. It's strange how much life you postpone when you're busy rescuing other people. One night, I sat on the couch with the windows open, city noise drifting in, and realized something simple. No one needed anything from me. No one was about to call. No one was expecting a transfer. The absence of demand felt unfamiliar. Then peaceful. Like finally putting down a weight you forgot you were carrying. Vanessa texted once. Weeks later. No emojis this time. No attitude. Just, hope you're okay. I stared at it for a while. Not because I didn't know what to say. Because I didn't know what we were anymore. Sisters. Strangers. Something in between. I typed back. I am. She didn't respond. Maybe that was enough. Maybe that was all we had left. That night, I opened my laptop one last time. Found the folder. All the records. All the screenshots. All the proof that used to feel like armor. I hovered over it. Thought about deleting everything. Starting clean. Then stopped. Not because I was scared. Because it wasn't heavy anymore. It wasn't evidence now. It was history. And history doesn't hurt as much when it's finished. So I moved it to an external drive instead. Archived. Like old photos. Close the laptop. Lights off. Apartment quiet. Lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, I thought about something I hadn't let myself ask yet. Not about money. Not about fairness. Something softer. More annoying. Did they ever actually love me? Or did they just love what I provided? I don't know. And I'm not sure I'll ever get a clean answer. Maybe both. Maybe neither. Maybe love and convenience just blurred together until no one could tell the difference. That question still lingers sometimes. Late at night. In the quiet. But it doesn't control me anymore. It's just a question. Not a chain. Because here's what I finally understood. Whether they loved me or used me doesn't change what I deserve. I deserved rest. I deserved choice. I deserved a life that wasn't an invoice. So I built one. Quietly. Piece by piece. No drama. No announcement. Just boundaries. Just space. Just me. Some mornings now, I wake up before the alarm. Sunlight through the blinds. Coffee brewing. No one knocking. No phone buzzing. No one calculating what I owe them. And for the first time in my life, everything I earn stays with me. Not just the money. The time. The energy. The future. All of it. Still, sometimes, when my phone lights up unexpectedly, my chest tightens for half a second. Old reflex. Old wiring. Like part of me still expects the next demand. The next emergency. The next we need to talk. It fades fast. But it's there. A ghost of who I used to be. And every time it happens, I just breathe. Look around my small, quiet place. And remind myself. No one gets access to me for free anymore.